dance ready. Ooh.
Awesome. Well, welcome back to everybody to another episode of That's Growth Ops, where fireside warmth meets the sharp insights of operations experts. Today, we're joined again with Christopher Nolt, and we also have Katrina Horne and Amy Broman from Growth Operations here today. And we're going to talk about the latest in account-based marketing, innovative strategies for growth, and give you some actionable insights and a little bit of fun. So, hey, everyone. How you doing?
Hey.
How's your week been?
Hello. Happy Friday.
How was your week,
Good week.
everyone?
Busy week, but good week. Yeah, got a lot done.
Short weeks throw that kind of typical flow off a little bit. How was your week, Miss Horne?
It's been great. We had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and now we've got another Monday around the corner. It's like, what's a week?
We have to use this guy. We've got like a little classic bell we use. I'm going to keep the noise off, but whenever we close a deal, we ring it. The harder the deal, the harder I ring it.
I heard the bell ring a few times today, so that always makes it a good day.
Oh, yeah. That was nice.
That's awesome. And any exciting updates or challenges that you faced this week that you guys want to share?
Oh, I'm full of them.
I know you are.
Let's let the new faces.
Why don't you guys actually start by talking actually a little bit about who you are and what you do at Growth?
Sure thing. My name is Katrina. I head up service here at Growth, based out of Monterey, California, and I've had the great pleasure of being part of Growth coming up on, I think, 4 years now. So I specialize in HubSpot services as well as project management and making sure that we're able to meet and exceed all of our wonderful clients' amazing expectations.
Awesome.
Wonderful. And I'm Amy. I am one of Katrina's wonderful teammates. She is an incredible boss, I must say. Learned a lot already so far. I'm here as a senior HubSpot developer. I've been here for almost 3 months. It'll be 3 months on the 8th, coming up in June. So I'm pretty excited. It flew by, and I've already been involved in many projects involving integration, CMS projects, anything a little bit more technical and nitty gritty or more advanced in terms of solutions. The bread and butter for me. It's been really fun. I came from HubSpot previously and, was working as a technical consultant, loved the position. It was a really great time, but I really wanted to get more hands-on and actually doing things so that here as a partner, I can finish things and go to completion with the integrations and actually fully test things and say, hey, it's ready to go.
Challenging stuff. Pretty much any
Indeed.
room where I'm like, this is above my head, I immediately am like, Amy! And I'm like, okay, we got a shot.
Oh, this is really new for us to have everybody. Well, not everybody, but a good collection of the team on today. So that's my exciting moment, is getting to see everybody on the call to be able to participate with this.
It's been fun.
Roundtable.
Yeah, it's hard building teams for like so many reasons, but then for me, it feels so good when these universe strangers are then collaborating and then you can just see the interactions. I really, really enjoy that, like, a lot. So it's been fun to witness.
You got a proud dad face going on over there.
Thanks. That's how I feel.
I have to say also, it's been wonderful. Amy's brought to the team a whole new set of recreation that we had not been exposed to. So, Amy, not to put you on the spot, but one of the things that's been so fun in our general and random Slack channels is seeing outtakes from, is she going to be on a mountain? Is she going to be rock climbing? Is she, biking across Colorado? What's she doing this weekend? It's been so fun.
That's a good time. Weekend warrior over here.
What are you doing this weekend, Amy? Are you doing anything wild?
I actually yes. I am I am driving. Well, first I'm supporting my partner who's also a rock climber, a very strong rock climber. I'm supporting him this weekend. So hopefully he'll send. And then on Sunday we are driving to Spearfish, South Dakota. And then on Monday we were driving to Minnesota. And then on Tuesday we're driving to Wisconsin and just picking our way off throughout the week. Actually, we might split it up and stay in Spearfish throughout the week and, drive at the end of the week or something like that. But yeah, it's another adventure in the books.
In Wisconsin are you going? I don't usually hear that on people's
Sheboygan.
travels.
Yeah.
Oh, love Sheboygan.
Surf capital of the United States. I didn't know that.
There's
or the Midwest.
Kind of surf?
Midwest for sure.
Yeah.
The beauty of working remote and hybrid. It's beautiful. I love that you are able to really show us how it's done.
Yeah, it's fun.
Not everybody uses
the camper. Makes
the
it
luxury. I know, it's so good. But like Jesse was in Thailand for like almost a month. Rick's in Brazil right now. So
Oh yeah, I can take Thailand off of my global. I don't need to have Thailand on my global clock right now, but I still have Sao Paulo. I have Kenya, New Zealand, South Africa on my global clock.
It's awesome. Into our Google Calendar time options.
So let's talk a bit about some things that have come up in the news today. Have any of you heard about Google's big data leak?
Google's data leak was around their algorithm, though, right?
Algorithm and SEO compliance and tracking data.
Ooh.
So
I've
over
read
25,
dig into it.
Yeah, 2,500 internal documents detailing how they collect data, how it affects search ranking algorithms, and so on. And initially they weren't commenting on it, but they had to comment on it finally this week. And basically it's got people going, what's going on with my data? And it even included data from Chrome specifically. So big breach. And I guess it was a series of Google Docs that were set to link access. Anyone with the link can access.
Oh my God. Classic. Mistake. Yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry, Google. Is it like from our perspective, is it something that we would just take the documents, shove them into like ChatGPT and say like, okay, based on this, what's the best SEO strategy now? Is that crazy?
Did Chris just say something illegal?
Well, technically not illegal. It's public access when you share that Google Doc with anyone with the link can access, and all somebody has to do is a good little search and they can find them. I don't think that just throwing it into ChatGPT is going to give anyone power, but because like what they're saying is how do they say it? The release is not expected to significantly impact any SEO or marketing or the marketing industries, because it doesn't go into heavy detail about how these algorithms are going to affect search rankings and that they were outdated. So, just like everything else in ChatGPT, it's likely outdated.
That, though? Like, wouldn't that be what you say? That people are like, oh, don't look at it. To me, that seems like almost a blatant side. If they were old, those links wouldn't still exist. So I'm about to look at them. Say that much.
Well, yeah, throw them into GPT and soon you'll see some people with some really powerful SEO.
All of a sudden, demand for growth operations, Google keyword search skyrockets. Everybody's just thrilled.
Yeah. The other one that caught my eye was Trustpilot. I know, like, we look at Clutch a lot and some of those other ones, but Trustpilot, it's been noted that as of this year, more than 6% of their reviews are fake. So the consideration there that I was thinking about was, how this impacts buyer trust going forward and how GTM leaders need to adapt. And my thought on it was, if you can't authenticate the review, then maybe don't include it in your marketing.
Yes, definitely true. I mean, there's like review farms and marketing strategies that rely on processes around review. It's not a perfect system for sure. 6% though, like I mean, that honestly seems kind of small. If I was,
It's up 36% from last year.
Oh, that is a lot.
So 6% of them are fake, but like up 36% or something like that.
Yikes! I heard a really exciting news article. Salesforce stocks are down.
Yeah, I saw that one.
They missed their first earning since 2004, and it's the largest dip they've had. Over $50 billion in value, gone in 24 hours. Sorry for Salesforce fans out there.
And I see HubSpot's on the up, though. What can I say?
I just love that feeling of being right. You know? Maybe not, but I love it.
But you digress.
I digress. Beep.
Awesome. So that was. Do you guys have any news you want to share? Anyone else?
It's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no.
The only news I have is what's happening at Growth. I appreciate the dedication. I can do this all day.
All right. Well, let's transition then. Let's talk about building a high-performing tech team.
Ooh.
So
let's.
My thought, right off the cuff, is the dynamics. So it's great to have both Katrina and Chris here. What are some of the strategies that you've used to help build this awesome and dynamic team?
Would you like to swing the bat first, Katrina, or would you like to have me hit it?
Well, I think first off, we've got a really special mix of the people and the roles that we have at Growth. So when we're looking to grow for a department or a specific role, we're super clear about obviously the hard skills that we're looking for, the technical skills that we're bringing in and that's required for the role, but also being really clear about the soft skills and more personal attributes of what's going to fit well with the team at Growth, and then also what's going to work for our customers. So I think being really clear about that from the outset has been one of the biggest things that has helped us to find wonderful people like Amy and Rich, the rest of the team. What would you say, Chris?
No, I really like that you called out like immediately the separation between hard skills and soft skills. I obviously lean towards soft skills. There's a level of communication and style, self-empowerment, just all those things that I feel are just so important, and so many skills can be taught. But at this stage of the game, there's a need for incredibly specific hard skills. And then, so that's rare. And then the soft skills that we look for are rare. So then that makes the right type of person, like an Amy, mega rare. And so I take a lot of responsibility in that relationship and to treat them as the precious resource they are. Yeah, and you have to know everybody has different motivations and priorities. And so again, really feel like that's a big part of where I spend my time team building, is working with Katrina, hearing what our clients need, constantly putting myself out in the universe, trying to make sure that, the right types of energies can find us. And then like we're going to be looking for a sales role now, my first kind of like flair about the role. I've interviewed a few people, but it's really like, hey, we don't know what we need or what we want, but we know it's a person. So I'm fielding conversations with different types of people and laid out a few other details, but it's been a good process so far.
Love it. Now, can you share an example maybe of like how building this culture has helped us overcome significant challenges? Because like one of the things I've noticed since being here is, and it goes, a message or a flare per se is thrown up in a Slack channel and everybody's jumping on it. It's like right away. You don't see that everywhere. How has that been created?
I think maybe that specific example wasn't an intentional creation.
Yes, it was.
Okay, fair.
Yes, it was. When
Both
I
Katrina,
first
yes,
joined onto Growth,
this is fun.
Growth had HubSpot. Growth is got of course, our email. They had Slack, but the teams who were using it, it was very much this culture of, I don't want to bother anybody. Everybody felt like if you sent a message publicly, that it was a bother, that it was an interruption. And so the first thing that we had to do was break down that resistance or hesitance of, I don't want to bother anybody. No, it's your job always to put the information out there, and it's the team's responsibility to respond or react appropriately based on what you're asking for and what their day looks like and all those things, right? It's similar to having one of those footers in your email, which is like, hey, I'm sending this email when it works for me. You know, you're going to read it or review it when it works for you, type of thing. But it's those types of like service, almost like thinking about that as like a service level agreement in between our team. We have to respond to each other quickly and responsibly because, yeah, there's 8, 10, however many hours in your workday, but we're also spread out across the country. And so our overlapping time is especially precious. So everybody makes a real concerted effort to be available during everybody's core working hours. And then to show up outside of that is really awesome and special when teams come together to do that as well. But it was a concerted effort of, we're expected to acknowledge one another in Slack. We're expected to provide answers. And then we've also gone so far as to like document what it looks like to have like Slack etiquette and Slack norms. So, just little things like, hey, like don't send every thought in an individual message, like format it a little bit, kind of treat it a little bit like email. Tell people what you're wanting from them. Do you want an answer or a response? Is this just an FYI? Are you at channel mentioning everybody, or is it just if people see it? So there's a lot of like effort and design that's gone into having a Slack ecosystem that works for our team and helps people feel like engaged and productive.
I think she beat
That's
what
why you
you're
build
going
a
to say,
team,
Chris.
Rich.
And then the beauty of it is that Chris just thinks it happened by accident.
I can say, so we've had this team, it's been 4 years as a HubSpot partner, 7 years in business, and 20 years of me owning a marketing related adjacent company. And so I've seen a lot of iterations of team members over the years. Even if we were to look back a year to today, less team members, different Slack communication, different sense of team. It took a lot. I mean, when Katrina made the engagement rules with Slack, there's also a follow-up and checking in, and it balances with the soft skills, though. The people that want to be communicative and participatory and work in a team environment thrive with the guidelines and expectations. And there is intentional and sometimes non-intentional massive friction when people have no desire to collaborate, or they're just clocking in and clocking out. When you speak to like clocking in and clocking out at a job, it's hard for me to understand it because I've been self-employed since I was basically 19. And so I've just never been that way. But I know I can, having known people that clock in and clock out, I've tried to make it a place where you work where you're wanting to control that lever. So there's like an excitement of a challenge. Like Amy and I were grinding on a project into the evening last night. One of the new team members is hopping in when she tapped out, and I was way in over my head. And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, my time, we picked back up. So I hopped right out of bed and ran over to the office so I could participate and help facilitate the messaging too. It feels so good.
The pride and joy that people really take in their work, which is palpable. And when you're proud of what you're doing, when you're excited about what you're doing, you're putting that in front of your teammates, you're putting that in front of clients, you make that visible. And then by that information being available, it can be referenced on the next project. It comes up, it becomes like tribal knowledge because all of these wonderful conversations are happening in our shared Slack channels. Even if it's not relevant in the moment, it could be relevant a month from now. And because it happened in a Slack channel that's open to the team, that makes it, for the team, it's not just a DM, it's not just a one-off private conversation. So we really have this like group, open, transparent approach to all of our communication whenever possible. Of course, there's some channels and some projects that the entire company can't be privy to, right? But for the most part, like we really want to put forward our learnings, our work for the team's benefit.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree there. I've seen it here, especially at HubSpot too. Each of the Slack channels were individual for the product type. So if it was a Salesforce integration, all the Salesforce PMs would hang out in that room. Support would use it as a place to ask questions, but then it turned into a resource or like a wiki over time because it's just a collection of questions and answers, and it became a place to search for answers before you ask your question.
Ooh, I
do your due
love
diligence and hunt, and that's what I appreciate about everyone here too. Is you know that when someone is messaging in the channel or asking a question, they've done their due diligence already to hunt for the answer and try to find it. Like there's that positive intent that's there. I love about this team.
Ooh, feels good. I mean, you and Rich are the two newest faces here, so it's been fun to. And we obviously love HubSpot for so many reasons, but one of the big ones for me is making a very much like public message around diversity and inclusion, leaning into like a remote first, even though they've got the physical offices. And I think they help change our industry's culture for the better. So to have somebody come from that company and then, share any level of, hey, I love what you were doing here, definitely feels good. Rich, what do you think about working here? You've been here for a little bit now, 2 months?
Yeah, we were kicking up to that 2-month mark. It's been great, and the same thing. It's like I can just go and search and find what I need. What I really like is everybody is available in that sense. Like if I've got a question, I might not get it in the right channel every time, but I know who I can ask, or I can just throw it in the general channel and go, who do I ask about this? And I know I'll get an answer and be told at that point, okay, maybe it should be in that channel. But no, I think that the accessibility of the team is by far one of the best things I've seen anywhere that I've worked. And I've worked on remote teams, so where that culture just wasn't available. It's like, no, I can't answer your question right now. I'm in a meeting. Okay, but I didn't really need an answer right this second. But with you guys, it's been like, hey, I have this thought, I have this idea, I just want to run it by you. Cool. There's availability by everybody.
It's a little tiring. I feel like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, it reminds me of improv. If you've ever taken an improv class, there's the concept of yes and. And so with teams, it works really well because even if it might not be a yes in that moment, but just having that optimistic approach of what's possible and being open to like explore some of those ideas. And you might be like, okay, no, this is something that needs to be 2025 or way down the future, but just getting people in that mindset of how could we solve it? What if we were to do it tomorrow? What would that MVP look like? It keeps people creative in their role. It keeps people excited about their role. I think that's a big piece as well is, there's nothing monotonous about what we're doing at Growth because we have some of our core clients who, yes, we've worked at for years, but we work with different teams. Their businesses are evolving. And so nothing's ever the same. So like, we have to stay adaptable and creative and flexible, even if you're like me, you're in service. People think it's not super creative, but you find new ways to problem solve and connect with people all the time.
I love that.
Plus one on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what I would add is, because being on a number of calls now with Chris and other team members when we're having client meetings, is we're not afraid to share these processes with them. and show them that there's other ways to do their business. Like there's been a few calls, Chris, I've been on with you where you're like, you guys should be using Fathom and this is why, and so on. And you should be on Slack and this is why. And I think that that's cool too, because you bring that experience that we have internally and created that culture, but that culture is now external and you're bringing the clients in. And I think the reason that I see that as a positive is it's not a client vendor relationship. It is they're part of the team too. We're part of their team. They're part of our team.
Partnership.
I feel like if someone hires us and just, I'm thankful that the team is, you all are saying things that have been very important to me for a very long time. And if we're doing a transaction with somebody, I'm going to work as hard as I can to fulfill the obligation and crush it. It's just how I operate on everything. So it's nice to be surrounded by that energy. It's really tough when you're not.
Awesome. Well, I think that kind of helps us segue too into this next part where I wanted to talk about customer success and how we align customer expectations with the actual experience to ensure that there is that level of satisfaction and we're creating that loyalty together. What do you guys think?
Well, it starts in the sales process.
You have as long as you need to talk about it.
Go ahead.
It's a work in progress. It is. We are always wanting to improve every area, but the expectation portion is tricky because sales, traditionally, you have like a finite window and you're trying not to say no because traditionally saying no is bad, even though if it's honest. So we've had to evolve the sales process to move some people and some things around. That was a fun experiment. It seems to be working. There's times where, for me, like there's a technical aspect, and in some situations, there's a personnel aspect. Like I can see that the client might have a junior team member in charge of a large project. So I might rope in different resources in the sales process to help support maybe things that would even not be in the scope of work. Recently, there's a large international brand and they do few transactions for very high dollar. They brought in a junior marketer and basically said, hey, your job in the next 3 months is to launch ABM. Oh, and we don't have HubSpot or Apollo or Rollword or any of the necessary tools. So we were brought in just to talk about a CMS website. And my recommendation, since they basically had a 3-pager now, was just start with a microsite. So that way you can get marketing motions out sooner than later rather than waiting 8 months for a $50 or $80 or $100,000 website the old school way. And by the way, by month 5, if you haven't produced revenue, not that I would say this out loud, your job's not going to be there. But I'm excited that you're excited, but you don't need a $50,000 website day one.
Yeah. That's like always thinking about, right, kind of breaking things down in terms of like, when do they have that first value, right? Like, obviously, we can't wait a year to have the full perfect fit, but what's that first win that we can achieve and then continue building on that? Amy's done such a great job. I feel like you helped to clarify, what's our MVP? Let's just focus on that element and that phase, and then all the things that we can build on, because of course, there's things that come up that are going to surprise the client. There's things that are going to surprise us as the team as well. But I think one of the things that growth does really well is keeping up that communication and transparency around whatever it is that showed up or happened and what the next best steps look like, and adapting the plan to, still get across the finish line.
Were you prepped on these questions beforehand? You're killing it. You should do this a lot.
I think about this stuff
My guys,
all the time. To be able to speak in generals.
That was great.
And
Amy, what do you think?
Yeah, I obviously agree. So I think that being especially in these pre-sales conversations and post-sales, when you're talking about a technical concept to a marketer or to someone else, being able to translate and being able to context switch is so important because, like, if I explain, so for example, I was slacking Katrina and Chris today talking about the SMTP API, and I was like, oh, I got to dig into this a little bit. And then I tried to just tell you, like, the high level, this is how this works. Like, this is the very basic flow, because I'm not going to dig into and tell you, like, okay, you make this call and then you need the password and these attributes and this, that, and the other thing. Like, you don't need to know that. So it's like delivering the information to the right people with the right concepts, the right time. It's, that helps build a lot of trust. And being able to translate has been, I don't know, one of my superpowers, I think, in the last 10 years of working in HubSpot. So it's been really fun. I also think being proactive is really, really important too. I think, Katrina, you talked a little bit about that, of just staying on top of that communication, being really transparent and making sure that people are aware of what's happening at every phase. Because if you come across something and it is going to put, say, another week on the project, people would rather just know that as opposed to finding out later and trying to frame everything in and then getting really stressed. And I think expectation setting these days, I don't know, people are way more empathetic than you think they are. And if you're honest with them and transparent with them and deliver timeliness, and deliver that respect and that trust, it works out in the end. That's the soft skill piece.
And I will say though,
100%.
like we're still, I think, in kind of like we meaning at least U.S. business, still in a shift change of the boomers and whoever's older than them, and then this, like, whatever I am and younger. There's like, when we deal with certain companies, usually in traditional verticals, with OWG in the driver's seat, being transparent and communicative is seen as like a weakness in a lot of those cases, and it's very strange. It's like oil and water hitting when we know that we are providing a massive amount of value by giving them the information they need to make the right decision. And when I talk about clocking in and clocking out, they do not care. Their only thing in their head is leaving at 3:30, so that way they can do whatever it is that isn't work. And those interactions feel very weird from the very beginning. So we've tried to, like, raise those signals in the sales process. And so that way we don't lean into an opportunity, really, if it's going to implode our service team. Not a perfect system, of course, a few have snuck by, but there are certainly times where, we just passed the opportunity. We'll be here there.
Because of some of those challenges that we have encountered, we've rolled that into some of our processes where, let's talk open and upfront and really explore what the risks and what participation and what's required on the client side from the outset, and understanding not just from the, like, org chart view of how decisions get made and how teams interact with each other, but really talking to people about how they make decisions, how are they able to collaborate with the department next to them, because there's something that's going to be impacting both of them. How much time do they need to make those types of shifts, right? And like maybe being able to include them then on kickoff calls, on process workshops, being able to support that change across the organization, because depending on the type of org, Chris, like you're saying, like this might be the first time that they've ever rethought what's being done, because it's just always been a certain way. So it takes a lot of effort from so many people to transform businesses. And so for us to be sensitive to the fact that that is the case, provide them with resources, provide them with training, support, the space to figure it out with a team who's seen it done dozens, hundreds of times before, it can be a beautiful experience.
I think, Katrina, weren't you mentioning, like, semi-recently, with the number of companies we worked with now, like, not surprised, but maybe the ability to now see a team and see where some of the good traits or toxic traits that we see in employees, and like being able to walk that back to their leadership, and almost like everybody loves like the company culture flag. I do, but like so many people wave it and it's not real. Can you speak a little bit about that general topic? Did I frame that up in a moderately okay way?
Sure.
I digress.
I mean, it's very interesting to see. You see that in action. We see it for ourselves here at Growth too, right? We just had a process because Chris is, end of the month. You're moving quick, and so I'm here as the break sometimes on the service end with our sale to service handoff to make sure that we're dotting I's and crossing T's. And then, of course, there's a time when we have to go. But it's all in that communication and why that's important and why it's prioritized. And I think what also helps is when you have companies that really value customer above everything else is, I think, the easiest way to get everybody on board, because it's really easy when you start talking about, well, my experience using this thing, it would be easier if I only had to. Oh, well, my team doesn't want to have to da-da-da. What works for the customer, what works for the company, and then it's what works for the person. Because ultimately we have to work, right? Like we don't have like malware just like running behind us, like doing everything. We have to do something. So like knowing that the effort that we are making is improving the experience of customer, our teammates. That's, I think, a way to break through some of the maybe resistance around changing what you do or doing more to improve a certain something. But that has to come from management. It definitely shows, when people are just in their lane with what they do and what works for them, that attitude can definitely be toxic.
Tough. There was a quote you said that I think I like slacked to myself. We strive to do great business with businesses that do great business. I thought
Did
that
I
was
say
like,
that? That sounds slick.
That is pretty.
Yeah, it was like 4:31 on Wednesday, May 22nd. I was reading my paraphrase.
Oh boy.
I can get it wrong.
Wow,
I
you've
also
got
love to
receipts.
steal a quote because
Yeah.
measuring stuff means you can improve stuff. That's a quote from Rich. I say it a little bit better than that, but paraphrase, ergo. But the reason I like that quote is because a company can be successful and do tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, but still not be doing great business. We work really well with companies that are doing good to their own customers, are wanting to grow, have a growth mindset, approach iteration with acknowledgement that perfection paralysis exists. And it's when we work with companies that don't think like that, it's rough. So if you're doing great business and you're listening to this, please let us know. We'd love to work with you.
Link in bio.
Right, bio.
Swipe to subscribe.
So that's really awesome, and it really paints the picture of how crucial knowing the customer journey is for ourselves, for our clients. Now let's talk about the getting it done part. Every client or every process, every level should have some level of service level agreement, SLA. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Katrina, because I know that you have a song that you want to sing about SLAs.
Can you rip and cut a dubbed over karaoke version?
Yes, we'll do that.
Perfect. Just imagine.
I will find the AI for this. This is a personal project. I love this.
The YMCA, but instead is everybody maintaining the SLA. And you can get all the work done and have so much fun when you maintain that SLA.
Oh my God, where did that come from? Is that a recent
It's honestly ChatGPT and my brain coming together just makes for these magic moments.
Thank you for breathing that
I
into
have the
me.
full lyrics if somebody actually does want to perform it with me. I'm not ready for my solo debut.
Well, we'll put it in the show notes, and then we'll do
Make a
some
nice concert poster and everything.
there
we go.
AI audio here for you and put it together.
LinkedIn event.
Well,
SLA. Chris, you know SLA stands for Service Level Agreement.
Of course I do.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that one. But you start getting into
So
some of
I
these
think
other
that some
water
people are
combinations.
surprised. I think some people are surprised to realize that the service level agreement doesn't have to only stand between the business and the customer. Of course, because our customers are the most important, arguably that's the most important SLA, right? It's like making sure that you're meeting that deliverable, responding in the agreed upon amount of time, you're available in the set agreed upon channels. So most common, it's your response times, it's how long it takes to resolve an issue. But I think there's a lot of, I think there's some real magic that can happen when companies start to apply SLAs internally. So, for example, Rich in marketing agrees that he is going to deliver X amount of value in leads to sales. That sales group agrees that they're going to contact and reach out within X number of minutes and X number of times to attempt to qualify those leads. And then on the actual, handing over to service, right? That's one of the, it's exciting for the business to win the sale, but sometimes for the customer, there can be a little bit of anxiety. They just paid for the thing. Okay, when does it arrive? How do they set it up? When can they actually start using it? Like you go from having that excitement of the sale to potentially some trepidation, some anxiety, right? So what are we doing to make sure we're staying close to them right after that sale and then, carrying them through? So service level agreements between departments to ensure that those handoffs are smooth. And again, it comes back to customer experience at every single step of their journey. And that comes from the company being so thoughtful and so obsessed about what that customer's experience is, not from what the company wishes was happening, but from a real honest approach of like being in that customer's shoes. How do they feel? What are they expecting? What could be better?
Yes. I know all that.
No,
I would have started just being a guest because like, you crushed it.
Well, I could just wax poetic about it, all the time. And then internally, so this could come back to our Slack conversation. If I, as a customer support agent, am supposed to respond to the customer to be able to close a ticket, even if I tell the customer I'm working on it, eventually I have to be able to close the ticket and fix the bug or whatever it is. If internally my team isn't responding to me in a reasonable amount of time, I'm not going to be able to respond to the customer with a valuable response or a resolution in that amount of time. So that's where having that team who doesn't just look at their email or Slack once a day, but who's there and showing up so that all of those things can, keep moving forward. So SLAs to the customer, between departments, internally between team members. I think SLAs should be like common practice for companies in all of those areas.
And Amy, on the dev side, how do you see SLAs coming into play?
Oh, they're so important. Understanding when you're going to receive, say, like test submissions or something like that. Maybe it's a timely thing. You have to understand like when you're going to be receiving data. That's probably a terrible example you can cut down. But yeah, no.
I don't do a lot of cutting, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I am not as eloquent as Katrina, and I never will be.
Same.
So.
I think that totally matches up. Like,
yeah, I guess that's kind of more of like a timeliness thing of like making sure people have the right expectations of if we're going to shut down a system at night or do something over the weekend, like we need to make sure that we're all here and ready. It's more of an expectation of meeting up, I suppose, as opposed to an SLA. So I don't really know if that was a great example.
If I
Well,
sing about it, we can turn it into one, I bet.
oh yeah, I
Yeah.
can see a whole verse forming.
It might just need a chorus.
She's on it. I feel like Amy said she was in the AI songwriting space. Is that a thing? Did I make that up?
Yes, it is a thing. It's a thing.
Oh, I
We're gonna have
cannot
an
wait.
album dropping at Christmas. Just stay tuned.
At Inbound. Signing covers.
Sign up for updates.
That should be the
I
name
think
of the
Katrina
album.
hit like. Oh, sorry.
No,
I was
just
diving back into the question.
Do it.
please.
All right, I think Katrina brought up a good one with the bug fix. If time to resolve bugs should be based on priority, is it going to completely take down someone's business? That should be like priority 1. Is it kind of annoyance? Maybe that's a priority 3. Things like that. Maybe you assign different priorities to different priorities of tickets, or different SLAs to different priorities of tickets. There's also an SLA. HubSpot has an SLA for uptime, for performance of the platform, their APIs, all of the different hubs, things like that. So the system should be available an X percentage of the time, which most companies should have. And there should be some kind of like incident response. If something should go down, there should be some plan there. But then feature development is another one I could think of with betas and private betas, something we run into a lot at HubSpot. When is this going to come out of alpha? When is it going to come out of private beta? When is it available? And making sure that those expectations are set appropriately, because a lot of sales can ride on a feature coming live. We need this in order to make our business run, or you want that private beta, or you want it to come out of private beta, because some companies don't even allow beta access. They are really risk adverse, and they only will use certain levels of software.
This is why having teams are great.
When you're putting together those, when you're putting together those SLAs, do you also include like implications, implications? So if that SLA is not met, here's the implication. They can't hear your head shakes, guys.
Enthusiastic. Yes, it might not be, and this is maybe where I would need Chris's insight in terms of how things are like documented, but depending on what it is, that would be considered a breach of contract. So like depending on what that SLA is, is it putting your general larger agreement at risk? And then in terms of the business implications, I think it's really important for teams, again, to have that clarity, to understand the why behind being available for the customer, for each other, because it leads to, empowering people to do their jobs, to resolve the bug, to, do all the great work we like to do, right? So I think that on the customer side, like contract and meeting all of those business requirements. And then I think the flip side of that for the individual is there's a lot of empowerment and a lot of accountability that comes from making known the why behind all of those different agreements.
What's funny about that conversation about like the why? That is the need for me to explain the why is actually like goes back to a story from my childhood. My dad is
why?
my dad is a nuclear engineer. Nuclear, the ones that deal with nuclear bombs. So that whatever that one is. And so at a very he was a submarine commander, and whatever. So for him, he had a very strong thought process where he did not care about why. He just wants to know how, and then he needs to follow the plan. Does not care why the plan, why the outcome. And I am the complete inverse. I want to know exactly why we're solving, what the outcome, what the impacts are. And oftentimes I'll find my own way of solving the equation. And what a joy that was being raised in that household. I love him much. He is on our board of advisors at Growth. I get to work with him all the time. It's so hilarious and later in life. But I mean, I would go to war for why, and it's so fun. I would say being right about that in today's day and age. It's a different type of person and type of brain. So it's just funny to hear us talking about the
But
why.
people totally thrive in having that, the what and the how, and that's enough for them to push forward and do what needs done. And then I think definitely for other folks who find inspiration, motivation in knowing the why and understanding how they're impacting people, that's where it's so powerful for teams and companies to talk about what the process is and why the process is.
Agreed. Thank you for your service, Commander Nault. Yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to open the mic now to, if you've got questions, or maybe you wanted to dig deeper into anything we've talked about, or maybe there's something that's opened up for you, an insight or something that you want to share. I just want to open the floor to you guys on that now.
Ooh. So I've got 3 team members here. Let's stick you with a hard question. If there's one thing about growth that you could change, if you had a magic wand, however big or small, what would it be? There's an SLA that there are no repercussions for your actions.
This is like a deep
Too many
thought
options?
question, I think.
Honestly, okay, so this is coming from someone who's been remote for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, it would be really nice to hang out with people, do little in-person meetups, maybe once every 2 quarters, once a quarter, something like that.
Yeah.
I think that could be really fun and really cool because cross-team collaboration increases after you've thrown axes with your teammates or something.
I might not do the axe throwing. I have the look, but I also carry the liability. But I love the idea of getting together with or without axes.
Yes.
I'll co-sign on that. Absolutely.
Yeah. A Monterey trip is definitely in the cards in the next calendar year, for sure, for everybody. I know Rich is coming
in a couple weeks. Yeah, a couple weeks.
Nice. What about you, Rich? Magic wand. Change one thing. What would it be?
It's hard for me to pinpoint because I've loved it so much, and that's not kissing anyone's ass. I've had, I'm trying to find it.
I just slid a virtual $20
because just looking at my history, 20 years of doing it all on my own, and then a couple years in more of a corporate role, and then taking some time and then coming here. I've found my fit so far. So I don't know how to say what could be better because it's been pretty good. I haven't had anything where it's like I'm pulling my hair out and then complaining to my wife about it later. I mean, I probably have, and she would say differently, but that could be in the moment kind of stuff. And then, just kind of reflect on it. And as you have to remind me in our Slack conversations sometimes, say positive mindset, dude, positive mindset. No, I got nothing. Then there's nothing I would say to change. I think it's more just more iteration. We need to iterate more on processes, on ideas. Try and throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what happens is good. But what are we learning from that, and how are we iterating on that? And I think that's what a lot of my conversations with the team this week have been about. Performance measured is performance improved.
As I always say.
As Chris always says, is then like looking at what's the next thing and being more iterative on that. Is like, I know looking at like one of the calls I was on today was, well, what's the next step? We know how many connection requests we're sending on LinkedIn. I've been told we're gonna meet that goal today. Great. What's next? What's the next thing we need to do? And it's not like it's not last week's or last month's goal was X and this month's goal is now Y. It is now X and Y. And being iterative. What worked, what didn't work, and taking that time to look at the why.
Yeah. Along a similar vein, I tend to do that with customer questions, where if I'm answering a question for someone and that answer could be construed in a way, or maybe there's a question in that answer, I think to myself, what question would I ask to that answer? And then I answer that question too. And just try to be iterative in myself and try to get ahead of any of the burning questions that people have, or try to answer things that they may not have thought to ask. Brevity's not my strong suit all the time. Sometimes I'll throw emails Chris's way and say, should I clean this up a little?
I am over communicating is just communicating to me. I think it shows a lot of respect for other people's time when you take a few extra moments, sometimes more than a few extra moments, to package a thought in a way that makes it more digestible. I just think that's really like showing up for the other person. Now you, Katrina, you've got a wand. You wave it. One thing changes. What's that one thing?
Oh God. I went into would I ask for more time in each day? Not more time off. No, we've got
getting Chris to use Asana.
What I always say about founders are usually the one person who's exempt from all the processes.
It's tough to be.
Maybe that's what my magic wand would be. Maybe. No. Yeah, I don't have any. I'd probably say I'd probably right on Amy's recommendation with being able to see people in person. I think the team does a great job being able to, as we've mentioned, showing up in Slack and being able to, connect virtually. We're totally a camera on culture, which is great, when it works, but seeing people in person and being able to have some more shared experiences with some axes or a beverage or whatever it would be, I think is something I'm definitely looking forward to.
No axes and beverages, please.
We're only throwing axes.
Please.
The only axe-throwing place I've been to was at a beverage facility.
Y'all are wild.
It's almost as though it's illegal to do it without.
Oh my lord. We'll talk to Little Bear and see if he can hook us up somewhere.
There we go.
Where we can get away with that sort of thing.
Boarding with those seals you keep sending videos in the morning. That'd be fun.
Happy to. It's cool hearing
a team kayak excursion.
Yes.
Right? Let's start thinking.
Absolutely.
Getting us, that would be, if I could wave the wand, it would be having everybody popping into the same office and hanging out. I obviously thrive in a team environment. I don't know if I would get anything done. I just want to hang out with everybody. So maybe this is for the best, but I have a renewed sense of planning a team outing. So I'll have some updates soon. Definitely a lot of energy going into inbound so we can all enjoy it. And then Monterey seems very appropriate. So, cool. All right, I'll just get on that now. Yeah.
If you could wave a magic wand, Chris, what would you change?
I think, honestly, it would be having you all just closer. I've really, Rich I had met in person. He was the first person I met at my first inbound. We had interacted in a couple of different HubSpot partner. He had his own agency, so we were in similar rooms. during the class of COVID. I think we may have even been in like a Dan Tyler, Dave Winehouse boot camp together. There's so many good humans in those boot camps. I mean, Chris Van Prague, who's like now become a huge LinkedIn star, and just a lot of great people. So it'd be really nice to hang out with everybody. If it wasn't that, I am digressing, but it would be nice.
Loads more clients, loads more team.
Here we go. Let's go.
Growth
Exactly.
X, pick a number.
If they would just trust me when I meet with them for 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure what they need. If they could just say, okay, sign here, deposit, and keep it moving. I think that's the.
Oh my gosh. Chris is using his powers for good. / evil. I don't know. Mind control. That doesn't seem ethical.
All right, fine. No Professor X today. Just good. No glaring red flags either. So that's good. Box checked. You all get $20. Nice job.
Love it. All right. Well, we're coming up on that time, everybody. So as we wrap up, let me quickly summarize some of the stuff we've talked about today. We talked about some news with Google's SEO leak, Trustpilot not being so trustful, talking about how to build a high-performing team and how to build customer success and build some of those awesome relationships, and throwing axes apparently is a huge hot topic. Anything you guys want to add to that summary?
I think it's just beautiful to hear us all collaborate and just talk about work without actually being on a work call. This is very cool. Y'all are very smart.
Say thanks for the opportunity to get out of my comfort zone. This has been so much fun.
It's awesome.
Same.
Awesome.
Definitely out of the comfort zone for sure. Definitely need to take some public speaking tests from Katrina, I think. She's just incredible.
And it's really insane. Yeah, let's make her blush. Katrina, you really are epic all the time. Well done.
Okay. Well, with that, I think, Rich, is there a wrap-up button?
There. Hold
That's
on.
going to be the sound clip for the episode.
Hold that thought. There we go. That's our wrap up. So thank you everyone for joining with us today. Amy, Katrina, thank you so much. Your insights and your conversations really helped enrich this chat. And I'm looking forward to our next gathering. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Thanks, Rich.